Warning, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
Nick, do you have non-sunglasses? Why do you gotta wear those every single episode?
Well, I'm incognito, you know. I slept with an inflatable doll, and now I got an inflatable guy after me. So, it's really not me. Anyways, welcome to the Nick Vertucci Show with Veronica Brill. So stupid.
You know, I haven't met anyone who has mastered the art of Italian dad jokes.
Yeah.
But here you are. I'm in the presence of greatness.
You are. You know, my wife's cooking so bad we pray after we eat. Huh? You know what are you talking about over here? Get out of here.
This guy's busting my chops over here.
Fucking mother's
Get out of here,
ass. Your
Tony.
mother's ass. All right.
We're doing microphone checks, and he's like, your mother's ass.
Hey, how else are you going to check a microphone?
What do you want me to do, huh?
What do you want me to do? You want me to talk louder? You want me to talk softer? What do you
I'll
want me to
talk quieter. But the thing is, you
Yeah.
whisper. You're a whisperer. You're a very quiet, you're a very robust man. I guess if that's a brute, you're a brute of a man.
Yeah.
Champagne is called brute too, so that's probably why you're bubbly.
It's
Like
my cologne.
You're so quiet on the microphone half the time. I'm the loud one.
This is Night Talk with Nick Vertucci and Veronica Thirsty Brill.
The only on OnlyFans. Subscribe now.
Yes.
$3.99 a month.
This is the only time you want your credit card to decline.
We would make way more money if we had a nighttime talk.
We should. We should have a nighttime talk show.
Where we take the night chocolate, as you call it, the sleepy chocolate.
Oh, yes. You remember that. Yeah,
And
I
then-
take the night chocolate and just kind of start spitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say anything when I'm on you don't want... Yeah, night chocolate's not good for me. I get in a lot of trouble.
I mean, everyone would get in a lot of trouble with night chocolate.
Yeah, everything's better on night chocolate.
It's so funny that you call it night chocolate.
What would I call it? Seriously, like what would I call that?
Sleepy time weed.
Oh, I'm going to get sleepy time weed.
Yeah.
Instead of night chocolate.
Oh, night chocolate.
Sleepy time weed.
Night chocolate is so sophisticated.
Well,
night chocolate is way better than sleepy
it's
time
a night
weed.
chocolate.
Okay, the stuff I buy.
It's chocolate. I take it at night.
The stuff I buy is called sleepy time.
It is called sleepy time.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And it saved my life. We were talking.
Mine's called Sensei or Sensei. It's in like this blue thing. I got turned on to it some time back because I just have a tough time sleeping all through the night. I'm going to tell you this. The first time I took this sleepy time night chocolate, I took it, had to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, but I was so out of it that I literally dream walked, bumped into the wall because I couldn't navigate, went back, bumped into the wall again, and then barely made my way there, went to the bathroom, came back, and was like out again. It's literally because for me, I don't drink a lot. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke pot. I don't like being high. I really don't. Like some people every day they do it and they love that feeling. Me, I literally don't like it. I like being sober, but this does not make you high. It just makes you tired. It's the best. It relaxes the shit out of you.
Yeah. So I had some trauma happen a while back and I was unable to sleep and I went to doctors about it and everything.
Yeah.
And I had a friend say to me, have you tried some, I think like they call it edibles, like, but it's not really, it doesn't get you high, but it gives you, what is the
THC?
THC in it? Because there's two of them. There's two drugs. I see I'm not really like big on the whole weed community. But so my friend recommended it to me and my friend like smokes a good amount of pot. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. He's like, just try it. It's worth a shot. So I tried it. It changed my life. And now I can't sleep without it.
Same. It's the best thing that's ever happened.
And you feel so good in the morning. If you've ever taken a prescription sleeping pill, you feel hungover the next day and you're a mess. It's terrible.
Yeah, cloudy and groggy.
Yeah, but you take the weed shit, and you
But
sleep so well.
I need to make a disclaimer for the listeners. If you're professional weed takers, smokers, gummy takers, whatever, disregard this story. But if you're not and you're like, whoa, I got to try that, don't get a sleep chocolate from your niece. Because one time, a long time ago,
I love this. I love where the
you're
story's
like,
going.
niece, one time I was given that to sleep and was told to take a certain amount. And this is an edible. And I went to bed and woke up an hour later and I shit you not, the literal twilight zone. It was a red, fuzzy glow. I realized that I was trying to move and I could not move. Now, my wife has never taken a drug ever, and I talked her into this because she can't sleep ever. And so this was her first experience, and I gave her the same amount, and I hear her go, Nikki, because she calls me Nikki. And I'm like, what? And she's like, we both were paralyzed, could not move. Now, hold on. And I'm not exaggerating this. And here's what I remember. I thought I was dying because my throat started closing up because I guess you get dry mouth or whatever. And I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't get to my phone. And Veronica, Valerie, listen, I could not get to my phone. I could not move my hand. And I remember hearing something like on YouTube or some voice thing where an ex-cop smoked pot and he thought he was dying and he was on the phone calling 911. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
He got in trouble, lost his job, whatever. And so she's like, I can't move, but I'm going to call 911. And I'm like, no, you can't call 911. So somehow she was a little bit better than me and was able to get a call on speaker to my niece who did this. And my other niece answered and started laughing when we were trying to tell her this because she thought it was funny. Anyways, we had to tell them how to get into the house because they didn't have a key. And they were going to come over to help us, couldn't move. And as soon as that call was over, this is how fast I felt something on my shoulder. Okay, we say goodbye. That's how time went. They were there. And they were like, Uncle Nicky. And I'm like, Maria, Sarah, we're dying, right? And they're laughing and they're like, you're not dying. And they sat there and for hours until finally it was over. So it was the worst experience of my whole life. And I really thought I was dying. And I no bullshit, was saying prayers. I was like, okay, forgive me and I had, a lot of time because I got a lot of things to be forgiven.
So tell me the truth. Is your niece a Quaalude dealer in LA?
No. You've
seen Wolf of Wall Street?
She's an
you?
edible giver in Orange County. And I just did. But these other things are different. I got it from a reputable place with the right amount, and it's not that.
So even, so I go to a place like a legal, everything. I mean, it's all legal now.
Same.
I go to a place and it's a really high-end place, but even still their gummies are a little different each time. And so sometimes you can take half and feel a lot. Sometimes you take a whole one and you don't feel very much.
Yeah, I don't mess with it. It's the same package. It's the same cube. It's the same amount, and I sleep like a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell anyone if you live in an area where it's legal, if you're having trouble sleeping, I'm telling you, it's life-changing.
Just don't go to your niece.
Don't go to your niece.
No, don't go to your niece.
If she has Quaaludes, don't take those.
No, don't take her Quaaludes either. Don't do it. Yeah.
I had a friend who, he's a foodie. Oh, God, I hate telling this story on a podcast, but you know what? We're all humans. It all happens. It was a while ago, but him and I, we hang out once a year. He's in the same circle. He plays high stakes at Sacramento, but he's big into weed and he gets all the best weed and stuff. And so he got me a little high before we went to a restaurant because we do a restaurant once a year and we taste everything. We talk about food. That's our friendship is food. And I got so high. He got me so high that I was in the restaurant and I couldn't move or talk.
Yeah.
And he basically just ordered the whole menu and I sat there.
Could you chew or swallow?
I could, but it was so dry. It was slow. And then halfway through chewing, I was like, I can't swallow. My brain stopped letting me swallow.
Yeah, and then you panic.
Yeah. And it's just, it eventually wore off. And by the time we left, I felt better. But oh my gosh. It's hard when you're not used to it.
The extent for me is if I drink, and also too, if I drink too much, every single piece of immaturity I have comes out. Every vice that I have enhances. Everything I shouldn't be doing, I want to do. So I try to stay away from it. But I will tell you, the other day when we did that podcast and I had just that one scotch, because I like to have a scotch, nice whiskey, and then smoke a cigar, which I didn't do on the podcast, but we're going to do that someday. I felt amazing.
So
but it has to be a little bit.
I will disagree. Like I hate alcohol, and I don't not drink. I drink every once in a while, but I've like really cut down from like when I was younger, and I would honestly prefer to take an edible over having a couple drinks. Yeah. Although I love to go to Napa and do like a wine tasting, but not get shit-faced.
No, but you seem to enjoy that vodka that you drank.
I didn't drink vodka. I drank tequila.
You
some top shelf, baby.
Some top shelf shit.
Well,
it was your idea.
It was my idea
for us to have a drink.
I thought it would be kind of cool, but then then you start to like the emotions get a little bit hotter.
They did.
But you know what? In the end, you and I surprisingly really like each other.
Yeah.
And then we worked it out. But you know what? The thing is about doing a podcast like this and getting to know someone is like it's a growing curve. Like it's a learning curve. And so we kind of learn about each other.
Yeah.
And
so what you're alluding to is yesterday at the end of one of the shows we taped, we went at
each other.
We went at it.
And then we talked about it and reflected on it and apologized. I apologized for my behavior. Yeah. You didn't apologize for yours. No,
because I wasn't wrong.
Shut up.
I'm joking. But can I just joke and say what you said to me, or should I not?
What did I say? Did I call you? I didn't call you a name.
No, I'm saying.
Should I or not?
Should I or not?
Say it.
You said, "Shut the fuck up and let me fucking talk." And you weren't joking. And I sat there and went, now I have a decision to make. And my decision was to go try to move on.
Okay, so
and then you wouldn't let me move on. And then you yelled at me again. And then I tried to move on. And I'm sitting here going, I'm going to look like the bad guy if I say anything. But you know what? But it was good because, like you said, we really like each other. And it was just one of those things. And I don't think it's going to happen again.
So, I agree with that. And it's good to reflect back on things. And I'm always trying to improve myself. And I always try to take feedback. And in the moment, it's hard to take feedback. But, I took it. The thing is, in that moment, I get really like passionate about stuff. And then in the moment, I don't even realize, because from my perception, because I was surprised when you were like off put at first. The producer and you both were like, hey, you came across really strong. And I was like, what do you mean? I was just, being myself. Yeah. This is the way I'm called Angry Polak because I come across a certain way. But I actually, in my mind, I thought I was just telling you how I felt. Like, let me talk, Nick. Let me finish my point. But I didn't even realize how I was coming across. And so to me, again, to go back to what I like was alluding to in like one of our first episodes was that you and I are very different in a lot of ways, but I don't think it's beneficial for me to be yelling at you to try to change your mind about stuff. I don't think that there's good communication done in that way. I don't think you're going to change any minds. I don't think you'll get anywhere with it.
No, totally.
If I have a message to tell you, it's really not productive for me to yell it at you.
Yeah, agreed. And how any conversation that is tough, or let's say so polarized that it's going to be like you're going to think what you are and I am at the end of that conversation, no matter what the hell either one of us says. Like, it's just no one's budging. That's our ideology, whatever it is, right?
Right.
The only way a conversation like that could happen is if both parties are going to realize they can't try to win. Like, we can't try to win. Like, we can't try to outmaneuver and win or out passion the other person.
We have to give each other space to talk.
It has to be like, and I did, and to your, because of a little bit of this, I cut you off like a bunch of times. But and if I'm going to fall on the sword, the reason I cut you off is because I was getting passionate about the subject. And so I cut you off because normally, like when we're just talking, I have enough presence of mind to know that talking all over each other is bad for the show. So I was doing that to you, and then you didn't like that, and you were so passionate about the subject that, whatever happened. But it's fine.
You know they're going to want to see it, right?
That's not happening. We shouldn't do that. But
I mean,
we just really went at it.
Maybe there might be a time that we could put just that fight.
Blooper. We'll do bloopers.
And then we'll do like the prequel of us saying, hey, we're aware that we had a little bit of a scuffle. And maybe people will be so prepared and they'll think it wasn't that bad. But like in the moment, I think it probably wasn't great. If
we didn't preface and have this talk and then show it, it would have not, wouldn't have landed right.
Fuck it. Show it. Let's go.
Fuck you. So anyways. All right.
Look, I wanted to talk to you because I think you and I have like different perspectives on things. Like I think you're more of a psychological guy. I like to think about technical perspectives on things. And like I brought this up to you earlier and I think it's a really cool topic, but not a great idea. And we agree with that. Electronic poker tables in poker rooms.
Yeah.
And to me, tech is like exponentially improving every year or every few years. But the idea of, and I love tech. I embrace tech. I love high tech. You're a whiteboard guy. And that's cool, right? That's fine. But I love the idea of tech, except for poker. Like I really like live low tech poker. And the idea of having like an iPad kind of thing in front of you, no poker chips, and I think potentially no dealer, unless the dealer's there to like run the game, make sure everything's fine, no one's arguing. But like, what would you do if you went into a poker room and it's all iPads?
I would quit poker. Legitimately, I would not play. I would quit poker. Regardless of it happens or it doesn't happen, my personal opinion is it's the worst thing that could happen to poker. The feel of chips, the interaction with players.
I love the feel of
dealers,
chips.
The whole dynamics of everything. Just, like we talked about yesterday before we fought, is I grew up in a time where, like there was no technology, where people actually talked to each other, or you were in a room, you had to engage. It wasn't always like someone on their phone. So even now when people are playing poker, if it's off stream, it's still sad because everyone, and myself included, stares at their phone. And that would just take it to one level more, where like when COVID was here, we have an online game we were playing for months and it's still going. And like
not the same.
It's just, yeah, it was cool for a minute because everyone was so bored and it was like, oh God, we have something. It's just not the same. It sucks. Like it's just to sit down at a table and to play with people and to talk. It's just, I would quit.
The sound of poker chips has got to be one of my favorite sounds.
Same.
Oh, and then you lose that.
Yeah.
Or then they pipe out fake poker chip sounds over the intercom to soothe people.
Yeah. Let's go to the total metaverse of this and let's do poker chip audio through the casino and have an iPad and maybe even put like a robot that just sits there.
Waitress.
So when you get fucking coolered, you could go, when are you leaving? When's your break? And we can blame it on the robot.
You say call, the robot dealer says fold, player folds, fold, and she's glitching and glitching. And you're like, I said call.
Yeah, not for me. I hope that's not a thing.
So my thought, because I work in tech, my thought is, so what are you going to do? You're going to outsource an IT department. And if there's a glitch, are you going to call someone who's on call 24/7? Are you going to invest in an IT department that supports the software? And then when you need to upgrade it and when you need to optimize it, and then like, what's the potential for there to be cheating? We all know that I was the whistleblower in a cheating scandal, and it was an inside job. The tournament director was helping Mike Postle, and like, what if that happens again? What if the guy who's in IT can override a bunch of settings, and then his buddy goes and starts to play, and he's winning $10,000 a month playing 1-3. So this kind of shit scares me with these electronic tables.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I guess if that happened, that would be something you'd really want to think about. But for me, it would be a nothing burger to think about because I wouldn't play.
You love that word, nothing burger. I mean, I'm going to make you a shirt for Christmas.
Well, it's low calorie.
It doesn't look like you've eaten any nothing burgers.
But, I know, but see, that's my plan, is to eventually go to the full nothing burger diet. But until then, it's like pizza.
So speaking of poker rooms, and like a lot of our show centers around Hustler Casino Live, because right now it is the biggest cash game show, and literally you're getting a bigger audience viewing it than NBC used to run Poker After Dark, and I believe the main event, right? But now CBS is doing the main event. But you're getting more views than them. And I think there were like some years where they combined it and you were still getting more, especially with that Mr.
the
Beast
analytics show, especially with the Mr. Beast show and a lot of the other things. We have crushed all poker numbers as far as views. And you know, the thing that I don't know if people really understand, like, yes, we're doing that, but to be able to do it 5 days a week, every week through a whole year, to put those size games together and to have the type of games, it's never happened. So it's unheard of.
Ryan has a mattress in the tech booth, right? He sleeps there?
Yes.
That's what he has to do.
He has his phone on him. And
he is the robot.
He's constantly on his phone putting games together, putting up with everyone's shit and idiosyncrasies that they have and all their, whatever demands and everything else. That's a tough job. And then you have to make sure you keep your word to the players if you're putting together a lineup, because if some people don't show up and then some people do, and that's a problem with a lot of people that build lineups, is like eventually if the players don't trust you, then they'll stop showing up. And it's not an easy job. And
There's some guys in the Bay who put together lineups, and then when they get there, I know my friends who play high stakes, and they get there and they're like, oh no, you're not the first on the list. And they were like, you told me I was in the main lineup. So that I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know who you are. So speaking of Hustler Live, the games are quite big. And you were talking to me about the players. You want to protect your players in the games. Like, what's happening with that?
It's actually came to a head this week. So we run on Monday, Max Payne Monday. Billy DeGaff runs
Shout out
that.
to Max Payne Monday. It's a great show.
And hey, let's shout
bananas.
It's one of our best shows. And kudos to him, because he literally has spearheaded that and made that really fun with the intros he's doing with his players. You see them now where they're telling about coming to play. I mean, just the whole thing. He's been great. And I will tell you this, what I've learned, and I don't know why I'm going off on this, but because I mean it, probably in the last month or two, what I've learned about him is he's a great dude, not just a great commentator and good for the Monday games, but he's slowly becoming one of my friends. And when I have something that's like on my mind, I'll like hit him with it because he understands it. He'll give me perfect advice. He's always had my back. Fucking stand-up guy. Just want to get that out there. But to your point, so we run that game on Monday, and then the Tuesday, Thursday game is the 5-5 ante game. On Wednesday, generally speaking, is a 25-50, and then on Friday could be 100, 200, 200, 400, whatever. And so what's happened is this. Okay, even if you're in the ante game on Tuesday and Thursday, the minimum buy-in's $5K, but that's kind of irrelevant because the game plays really big. It doesn't matter that the blinds are 5-5 with 100 ante. The first bring-in's 300, and from there it goes to whatever. And so the game plays like a 25-50 already, or bigger, and you can lose a lot of money in the game, or you can win a lot of money in the game. This isn't a 5-5 game. This is a big game. But what happens is, let's say you have a player, I won't name names, but let's say a player comes in from out of town and they want to play the ante game, and they wire, this happened last Tuesday, they wire a certain amount of money. And
what's a certain amount of money? What are they wiring?
It could be they wired,
because we want to know the numbers.
Well, I'm saying, let's say they wired 30K.
Okay.
Because they're going to play.
Is 30K enough for that 5-5 ante game?
It's enough for it, but you could lose 30K in one hand.
Okay.
But it's enough for it. So it's hard to answer that because.
What's typically on the table in that 5-5 game?
Well, I always put 35K to start. A lot of players put 10 to 15 to 20 to start. There's some players like Ludacris will put, he's weird, but he'll put whatever, but eventually have like 200,000 on the table because he rebuys constantly. Even if he loses one hand, he still just keeps rebuying. You got Nick Arcott that is like wants to be a big baller and puts 200,000 on the table. And so that's not even the problem. The problem is, and we're going to have a guest on our next show, is like, and this guy is my favorite person on the planet, but you got Jeremy J. Boogs, who is literally one of my favorite players. I love playing in the game with him, but if he gets stuck, he's Mr. Tilty. And immediately he'll start pushing for the 200 straddle, then the 400 straddle. And
that's the best way to get unstuck.
And I was in a Tuesday game where literally for an hour and a half, it was 2-4-8.
Right.
Okay, now nobody may believe this or not.
That's bigger than the Friday game, right?
So you may not, a lot of people may not believe this because of my interaction on this, but I don't care what we play. Now, let me also preface that. I do care because I do want to play the game we're playing, and I don't want to, like, I can't get a seat a lot of times on Friday, so I don't want to play one Friday and lose 150 and then have to go back to the ante game and grind the next 4 or 5 sessions to get it back. So sometimes I do avoid those limits because if I'm not playing them on a regular basis,
right,
it depends how you do. Okay, so point is you got a couple guys from Palmdale, they bring 20, 30,000, they got 5,000 on the table. So if some guys got 10,000 on the table and another player wants to straddle, or once he gets stuck starts raising every hand to like $2,000 just to fuck with everyone and to get unstuck, or they're drinking and then everyone's pushing for straddles. What happens is in the poker community is this, and this is just the way it is, and I'll even give you an example. People, I think especially men, well, maybe women too, because they have stuff to prove when they're at the table. So it's really both ways. This is a man or woman thing. They're embarrassed on stream, or even off stream, but especially on stream, to say, I object to the straddle, because then you look weak or you look like you don't play big, and nobody wants that. So what happens is you get guys that won't say anything and it'll get pushed through. Hey, everyone good with straddle? Everyone good with straddle? Yeah, okay, 2 rounds, another round. And it just happens. And then these guys, like the last Friday game, we had 3 people bust out within a couple hours, and we had to like put other people in the game because the game was playing so big. And then people are, and then what happens is people complain to me. So for example, we had the anniversary 1-year game, and I had a couple people come up to me. I won't say one, but I'm going to say one. And one of them was Sashimi, who doesn't play that big and bought in really whatever. And she didn't want to play big, and either did, I'll even say it, even Iron. We just wanted to play the 25-50. And so I tried to keep the game there, and it wouldn't go there. And there was this big controversy, and everyone looks like I'm trying to suppress the game. But then I get to the lockers to go take a break, and I have Ron and Sashimi saying, well, what's happening? I thought we were, like, you promised. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so we get back to the game, and here's what happens. Sashimi, because this is about peer pressure and embarrassment, Garrett's always pushing the straddle, fine, whatever, that's another subject. And Sashimi takes the 200 and puts it out. And Garrett goes to give her knuckles, and she reaches over and gives him knuckles, and they have a moment. And I looked at her and thought, you're dead to me. I'm not going to defend this straddle anymore. Not in life or as a person. I like her. I love her. But I'm arguing with everybody to try
for her, yeah.
Because it's my game. It's our game. Ryan and I have to protect the players, and he's up there and he doesn't sometimes know what's going on, or he doesn't want to rock the boat or whatever it is.
Well, Ryan's in the tech booth.
Yeah. But him and I have had these talks,
right.
And now players are starting to really, like, even on this last Tuesday game, started going to Ryan. I just said, leave me alone. I said, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. I quit the game an hour and a half early because I had had enough of it.
Let me ask you, was there agreed upon straddle before the game?
It doesn't work that way. How it works is the game starts at what it is, and someone goes, is everyone okay with a straddle?
Okay, is there a cap to the straddle?
No. You can straddle
it's an
any
uncapped
amount.
Straddle?
You can straddle any amount, anytime, in any position but the button. So, like, for example,
Wow.
if you want to straddle 800, go ahead. But to do a round of 800 or keep doing a round of 400s, people with smaller stacks cannot play in that game. It's too much pressure. They're in one hand.
Right. So, there's a few things with that. As a casual poker player who has run a private game, I've always encouraged a straddle. I like a lot of action.
Sure.
And as a viewer myself, because I watch Hustler, we all love to see a lot of money on the line. We love to see big wins and losses. We don't want to chop those pots. We don't want you guys to chop them. If it's us, we want to chop them.
Yeah.
Look, I've been in situations, I played 5-10 this summer at the series, and there were times where the game was just too big for me and I had to pick up. And I also knew that I wasn't as good as as the series progressed, more and more pros came into town, and the games were less and less fun rec players and more reggy pros, and they had a much bigger bankroll than I did. And so I can understand that, but I I mean, in a way, I would think I would know that I'm going to a game that has an unlimited straddle amount. I mean, there's a reason, like, I've been asked if I wanted to play on Max Payne Monday, and I'm like, man, that game is huge. And I couldn't play in a 5-5 straddle game right now. I wouldn't want to, unless I sold a lot of my action. I just think that you kind of, in a way, got to know what you're getting yourself into. And people love, like, no one wants to watch a nitty game where no one's straddling. So there's just like two sides to this. So
there is, but let me volley something back on that. So the only thing I could say is you have to be prepared to what you're coming to the game. The other side of that coin is you have to be able to trust what game you're going to.
That's true. But
right?
You just told me that you guys didn't agree upon a straddle.
No, when?
I asked, was there agreed upon straddle?
Not before the game started. That never happens like that. We never say we're going to straddle before the game starts. Straddles happen organically, either by players that want to play bigger or players that are stuck.
So the game is a 5-5 game. But you said the bring-in is 300.
So, well, it's not 300. So it's a 5-5 ante game with a $100 big blind ante. I have never brought a hand in less than 300. Sometimes people bring it in for 150, 200, but I'm saying 300's kind of normal.
So it's a $100 big blind.
Yeah. So
ante.
It will never be before the game. All 9 players will say we're going to straddle. It starts out as either someone wanting to play bigger, or when some people get stuck, the straddle starts to enhance.
So I would say reasonable amount of straddle would be like $200 or $300 in that game.
It's 200 is the straddle if you want to straddle, but you can straddle to any amount. 200 is the minimum.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
If the game was at a capped straddle with 200, maybe one day a week, someone like Sushimi could feel more comfortable in it. But because it's on Hustler and you have an unlimited straddle, I kind of got to lean towards like, hey, that's the game.
I promise you, I get it. But
we want new players in the game too.
Yes, but here's the point. I don't want to say here's the point you're missing. I'll say it this way. Here's the point that I just don't know if you're seeing it this way. How about that? Yes, people watching want to see bigger games. They want to see more action. They want to see more straddles. They want to see bigger pots. They want to see go once. They want to see pain. They want to see blood. That's the part of a show. We get that. That's why it's a tough subject, because we want it to happen how it's supposed to happen. But what I'm telling you is, even in the 5-5 game, if there never was one straddle, which, by the way, the new rule that Ryan put in, which I support, is there's only maximum of 2 straddles per show, rounds, of mandatory, like you have to put it in. And then after that, you can straddle. If you want to straddle every hand that you want to straddle, you can. Like, we're not going to stop it. But it's not going to be mandatory anymore, because the game plays substantially bigger with it, and it plays already very big, just 5-5, 100. Like, there's 40, 50, 100. I got, in a $150,000 pot with Ludacris in a 5-5 ante game. And that's it playing at its regular, even...
Basically, all your games are
big.
Fucking massive.
Right, but even that uptick, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Even that uptick of just the constant straddles, it really targets shorter stacks and more scared money. And here's the thing. We have loyal players that play every Tuesday, Thursday, that are characters that are good for our show, that we're loyal to, and we have to protect them. I believe we can't have the thing, well, you know what you're getting into, and if you come, you're just going to have to, maybe we'll get new players. Here's what I think you should do, then. Put a cap on the straddle. $200 straddle. That's it. Cap. Well, you can do that.
At least once a week, so you can bring in those characters.
Where we're starting...
Because I agree with the characters thing. I like poker characters.
Where we're starting is we're doing mandatory just 2 rounds, and of a full rounds, and starting there. And seriously, like, to a player that wants to come in, and it doesn't matter if someone's got 10,000 on the table and you got 30 or you got 200K, it doesn't matter, because your 10's in.
You're effectively playing for
You're effectively
10,
in, right? But with that said, if you want to play 400, 800, play Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have a seat for you.
Listen. I think that one day a week should be dedicated to the, like, mid-range player who is a great character and fun, where there's a capped straddle. And maybe Max Payne Monday's that show. Because that's one of the smaller shows,
It's supposed to be the smallest game.
And it's, I think, the most bananas amazing game ever. Shout out to Max Payne Monday. I think it's the best. So
it's the most entertaining, yes.
Maybe that's where the players should go that don't want the straddle.
They already have...
Because if I walk in on a Tuesday with my $20,000 and I fucking see Garrett on my left even, I'm out. Because I know that it's going to be bananas and I can't.
Yeah, the game's going to play triple
even
the size.
If I stack him 3 times, he has the money to come back and get me.
Yeah. The only problem is that like Max Payne Monday has the 9 players that play and then 49 that want to play in that game right after all them. Like everyone wants to play the game. So we can't really take the Tuesday, Thursday people and try to get everybody into a Monday game because the Monday game already has their cast of characters and the Tuesday, Thursday game has their cast of characters. We have like these certain characters for each show. And again, there are a lot of players in the Tuesday that are fine with it. There's just a lot that aren't. And the game is going, here's what I said. This is what I've said. I've said this to other players. I don't want to say the name, but someone that I argue about this all the time. Here's what I said. And this is a horrible way to look at it because I don't look at poker this way. I look at poker, I play my best game. I would rather play with people I like than not like, even if they're better players. Okay. But just to get this out in the air, if you have a player that is, I don't want to say scared money, but that doesn't want to play as big as you, they don't want to put 70,000 on the table and play. But guess what? That same player will take 4 or 5 bullets at 10 or 15,000 and continue to add bullets to the table. They're more comfortable putting it out at their pace. They may end up at the same amount, win or lose, or even like lose whatever they're comfortable with, but they want to do it at their pace. And if you press the game too big, they can't sit down with the 10 or 15 because they could effectively be in on the first hand because the game plays so big. And it's just, here's the bottom line. Our games are big enough. It's not good for the game. It's not good for our player base. Ryan finally listened because I got up on Tuesday. I got up an hour and a half. And the reason I did is because I just got tired of a few of the antics going on with some of the players. And then that element where someone stuck 100,000 in an hour because of the way they're playing, and then wants to bet 1,000 every hand and straddle 1,000 and do all these things. And it's just like that person is not good for our game. Those people are not good for the game. The game tightens up to where it's not even fun, and it doesn't get protected. So I just said, you know what? I had enough of this. I didn't want to make a scene. I just got up, I went and ate dinner, and then I just said, I'm not coming back. I had tea to go get my chips. And then Ryan came down and was like, what are you doing? And I said, here's what's going on there. And then we had 2 players come to where we were standing while I was eating, and Ryan was there to say, yeah, like, I'm not comfortable with this. Like
Israeli ramen and sashimi.
No, that was a different day.
Oh,
this
wow.
was the last Tuesday.
So look, poker players have...
And Ron plays very big. Sorry. So I don't want to make him feel like he doesn't want to play big. So Ron, if you're listening, you play the Friday games. You've played the biggest games ever. But if you come to a Tuesday game with a certain budget, it should be respected. That's all I'm saying. Sorry. You go now.
Are you going to let me talk now?
Yeah, I apologize.
So poker players have this button that doesn't exist with other people. It's called the fuck it button. Okay? Once it's on, you can't turn it off.
Right.
Okay. So Jamie Kerstetter hosted a ladies meetup game at MGM this summer. Mm-hmm. And it was literally like 125 women. We had 3 horse tables of women playing horse. Mm. And then I was at the PLO game. And it was supposed to be a small, I said, let's do a 1-2 PLO with a 5 bring in. Okay.
Sure.
And there were some women who were like, what's this game? We're interested in knowing the game. And I said, there were a few ladies at the table who were like, who knew PLO. Like you could tell they're fucking degens. And I was like, ladies, okay, this is the meetup game. We're supposed to give a comfortable atmosphere for new people.
Heads up, calm down.
And I was like, let's keep the game and the pots a little small for a little bit so we can get like, I think we had 2 women joining that hadn't played. The women who play PLO on a regular basis. There's a woman from Florida, one from Wisconsin. She's a PLO pro. They're like, yeah, sure, no problem. Do you think they listened to me? No. Everything was like, bomb pot, double board, let's go. And like, everything was just like, put all your chips in. Let's straddle for $1,000. I'm like, dude, it's a 1-2 or 1-3, bring in 5. What are you talking about? And MGM's like, yeah, straddle whatever you want. You guys do whatever you want. You want a quadruple straddle? Do it. And I couldn't stop it. And then the 2 women who were brand new were like, okay, I guess all my chips are going in. And then, you end up losing those women. One of them ended up winning a little bit. And so she had fun. It's always fun when you're winning. But it's like, it's good for the game. Like, it's hard. I understand you're coming from a customer service perspective.
From
you want to keep the characters.
Show.
You don't want one person like ruining the game, and everyone thought they were coming for a certain game, and everyone brought a certain budget, and then one person has $200,000, and they're like, "Fuck it, I don't care." I understand that, but at the same time, I understand that straddling is good for the game, and we want as viewers to see the pain, man.
That's the tough part of it, because there's two sides of it.
With my PLO game, I was like, oh my God, you guys literally couldn't wait 2 hands to lose your minds in this game.
All they have to do is ask for a seat on Friday.
The fuck it button is on, and that's it. There's cards in front of them, blinders on. Fuck it, I've straddle.
Like, if you get stuck, just keep playing. Don't try to make it 800, 1600. If you want to play that game, go play Friday.
I don't know. Are you talking to Garrett right now? Because Garrett was in that game with Sashimi.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not talking to Garrett right now.
Shout out to Garrett.
No, not. Garrett and I have argued about this 1,000 times.
I'm not saying argued. I'm just saying that.
I'm saying it. Garrett and I have literally argued.
What does Garrett say? He likes the straddle. He thinks it's good for the game.
Oh, I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good for him. Because that's his business, and if he plays better,
always
listen.
Good,
if
but
he
you gotta let me finish sometime today. It's always good to.
Now, see, that's a sweet way to tell me to shut up.
You don't
I like
tell
that.
me to be sweet.
Okay,
you don't tell.
But
me.
that is a very nice.
But
way.
It's always good when you're the best player in the game to have the straddle on. And if you're the worst player and you're under-rolled for the game, it's fucking terrible for you. Okay. And that's that. But the thing is about poker economy is you don't want to be the guy that's vacuuming up all the chips really quick. You want to keep that economy stable. I honestly think that. You don't want to kill the game. Like in small poker rooms where you've got like only a few whales, if you suck that fucking game dry, you're looking at me and you're thinking it's an innuendo, but like if you
wasn't really
if you make the whale broke in a year, you're gonna ruin your good game. But if you keep that game going, you have some side whales that are like kind of good, they'll want to join, you know what I mean? Like it's all about keeping the economy alive. So I don't know what the right answer for this is.
You ever heard the analogy of the 2 bulls at the top of the hill with all the cows at the bottom?
Oh my God, is this an Italian dad joke?
Nope. Have you heard it?
No.
Okay. So it would go like this: as far as if you're a dominant player and you want to keep a player pool going, it would be like this. The young bull ran down the hill, ran down as fast as he could to try to catch one of the cows to fuck it. Okay? Came back up the hill. The more mature bull looked at him and said, "Listen, son, you're going to run down that hill and you're probably going to grab one. They're going to scare all of them and they're going to run and you probably get one of them. But why don't we slowly walk down the hill and fuck them all?" So you're just going to look like that. So here's the thing. So the analogy is this.
Fuck them slow.
Relax. Relax. You're gonna, if you're the best player, you're gonna get it. Just relax. And here's the thing, Veronica, last thing I'll say on it. Because I'm one of the owners of the show is the only reason I give 2 shits. If I wasn't an owner of the show, listen, when I wasn't the owner of the show at the bike, I played every Friday, 100, 200, 200, 400. I sat in seat 5 and I agreed to every single straddle. And I played with the best players in LA, Dan Zach, Garrett, Art, I can name a bunch, Jeff, these other guys. And they never heard a peep out of me. The only reason anyone hears a peep out of me is because I love this show. I love Hustler Casino Live and High Stakes Poker Productions, and I want to protect it. And I'm going to tell you this too. Now that it's my responsibility, I do want to protect the players. I care about these 5 or 10 players or 15 players that want to come and play, and they want to play what the game they're supposed to play. I care about them. We give our word. It needs to be that. So that's the only reason. And here's why people think it's me who doesn't want it. This is a perfect example. When we were playing last Tuesday, I got up to go check my phone or go to the bathroom, and Ludacris goes, "Hey, let's put the straddle on. Nick's not here." Nick can play with the 200 straddle. I'm good. I play high stakes. I'm fine with it. I have the bankroll to do it. So they misunderstand and think it's me that doesn't want it. But here's the other problem. There's 2 or 3 other players in that game that when he said that, what they should have said was, I don't want it.
They don't have to say anything.
No, if they didn't want it, they should speak up for themselves, but they don't because they don't want to be embarrassed. So my point is they think it's me. It's just me trying to protect the players that come to me on the side. But now everyone knows, and I'm never going to say another thing. I told Ryan that Tuesday. I'm never going to say another word. I'm going to sit down the game. The straddle's on, it's on. You can come down from production because I want to be just the player when I'm playing. I don't want this because what happens is it makes me cranky. It makes me angry. I get tilted and then I can't focus and it screws with me while I'm playing. So I'm done. When I sit down, someone says 200 straddle, and if the rule is no, then they can come down and enforce it or tell a person not to play. And if no one says anything, guess what I'm going to do when it comes to me? I'm going to put the 200 straddle in. And guess what? If it's 200, 400, I'm going to put the 400 in. I can play those stakes. The game's got to be protected by production. And if I'm not playing and I'm in production, I'll come down and say it.
So you heard it here first. He wants to straddle the 400.
I'm in.
But he's going to fold an ace king and a king high board.
Only if it's not suited.
If you shove all in, he'll fold.
Oh, so you're talking about that one hand you're dying to talk about?
I mean, I was just like, look, sometimes if they got it, they got it. You know, that's probably why my bankroll's not high. Not good. You know, but I'm just like, hey,
you can't even
it's
sit
hard
here.
to make top
You can't
pair.
even sit here right now and tell me what the 2 hands were besides my ace king or what the board was.
One was on a flush draw and one
How high?
had a pair. It was
What
like
was a pair?
it was like a fucking shitty flush draw.
What
was the hand? You tell me.
No, I'm asking you. You brought it up. Okay.
Stop being like that.
All right, no, I'm screwing around. All right, so the hand you're referring to, and
you were in position. You had ace king.
I did, and the board.
And the video clip I saw, I didn't see the pre-flop action, so I don't know.
Yeah, I unless I have that hand in front of me or have it written down. Remember how you've referenced? I can't remember anything.
2 people shoved all in.
Yeah,
you fold fucking ace
it was
king on a king high board.
It was king 5-6, 5-6 of spades with a king. I had shove in front of me for.
No, I think it's a fine
for my
fold,
whole stack.
to be honest with you. But
So here's what I'm looking at.
It's a little.
You just
know
wanted to-
what? I'm like, whatever. You got it.
Are you
got
cutting
it.
me off now?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I get it because we're just trolling me, and I'm not even being defensive about it. Yeah, I had to fold the hand because I could have been I'm up against 2 hands. Possibly one would be a nut flush. And the other could be either 2 pair or set.
You're beating that flush for the moment.
Oh, I know, of course. That's why I'm saying.
And you're a favorite.
Or I could be up against 2 pair and a set, or a nut flush and a set.
I can't judge you because I didn't see the pre-flop action. So it's hard to distinguish what their ranges are pre-flop, right? They could easily have a set, at least one of them. 2
the guy to my right was new.
I just am laughing because of your reaction in the hand. You're like, oh, fuck. You had a very Phil Hellmuthy reaction when you folded.
When I saw the run out and I seen the hands, I'm like, what's going on?
It was like an ace-6 that won with a second
no, pair of 5s one.
Pair of 5s.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? What world am I in? Even Mark Goon, when he was commentating, was laughing his ass off at my reaction.
I think it was Tuck.
Because, no, it was Goon. 100%. And he was laughing his ass off because he's like, fucking Nick has to fold there. But oh my God, his reaction's hysterical because he just doesn't understand what happened. And he goes, and nobody could. Because it was like so insane. The guy to my right was new. I can't remember his name. And he was out of his mind. And so I couldn't put him on a range. And then I know Johnny. And so I know Johnny to shove into me the way the pre-flop went. I know he's either have to have a flush draw or he's got a nutted hand. And then this guy shoves over him. And I'm sitting there with a king. You know, like it's a big hand heads up, or it's a big hand in a different situation. But I mean, I'm like, there's no way I'm good here.
You know what you need to do next time you make a decision like that?
What?
Get out your cigar. You know, you run the live stream.
That's true.
They're not gonna
light it up.
Light it
up.
Get some fucking Hennessy.
Yeah.
Pray to the Hennessy gods and say, what would you do here? And they would tell you, just fucking go, my friend.
Just go.
Just go.
Man, I wish I would have went. That'd have been a nice one.
So talk to me about the rodeo. What's this rodeo story?
God.
This will be our last story before we're done.
Okay. So the rodeo is this. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to the Honda Center to go to a rodeo. I don't even think I've been to a rodeo, but my daughter was going, wanted us to go. We went to the rodeo. Okay. So I'm walking into the rodeo, and I hear as I'm walking up, and I see signs or whatever.
And where's the rodeo again?
At the Honda Center in Anaheim.
Okay.
So where the Ducks play and hockey and all that. And So I'm getting closer to the line, like to go into the place, and PETA's there. And they're protesting the rodeo, the bulls.
It's L.A. PETA's all over L.A. That's so cute.
So PETA's there.
I'm like, it's
and as I get
Southern
closer,
California.
And as I get closer, literally there's like 15 or 20 people out there.
What are you wearing? Are you wearing fur? Is that what's happening?
No, they don't like that you ride the bulls.
Oh, you rode a bull?
Oh my God. God help me. I'm walking in to an event where professional bull riders are riding bulls. It's a rodeo. Do I look like I would get on a bull? Do I look like I could sustain a fall off a bull? Are you out of your stupid mind? What the hell? So just to center this whole conversation, they were worried about the bulls, not me at this point. I'm almost flabbergasted that you're even my guest. I mean, not my guest, my co-host. So listen. Anyways, God. So I'm trying to get into the Honda Center, and they're behind a line yelling and screaming at everybody walking in. And I happen to be like right there, and they're like right there. Like if they wanted to lunge and get you, they could. And they were angry, and they're yelling into their what are those things called?
I don't know, microphones.
Whatever. Yeah.
A microphone.
No, it's not a microphone. It's a bullhorn. They're yelling in. They're yelling in. No pun on the bullhorn. They're yelling into the. They're yelling into the bullhorn like major obscenities, like the foulest mouth words ever, and they're telling you you're going to hell and everything, right?
Well,
and,
you are.
Yeah, but without the rodeo. I don't need the rodeo to go. So. And there's little kids like in the line, and they're screaming, "You're teaching your kids to fucking kill animals," like all this stuff. And one of them's screaming in my ear with this bullhorn, and I just go, if you care about the kids, why don't you stop using that language, you dick? And then I become the focus, and they all like emerge right onto me, and they're like, you're going to hell, fuck you, and they're screaming at me, right? And the cops are just standing there because it's like freedom of speech, and like nobody's touched you yet. And I just looked over, and they go, how do you feel about bulls being tortured? And I go, ride them and eat them. That's how I feel about it. And I go, and if they're real good looking, eat them and ride them. And they went nuts. They went absolutely berserk. The cops had to stand in front of them. And I was just, to be honest with you, I didn't really want to antagonize them. I just couldn't believe the anger. And then I researched them. Now, I am not a professional on PETA. Matter of fact, I never even thought about them until that day. And then I researched them, and there's so much negative press on them, and not only about their hostility and they get physical because they're so passionate about it. But what I've heard was too, they're literally like the judge and jury. Like if your dog's outside, I've heard that they taken dogs out of yards that they feel weren't treated right, and they euthanize them. The PETA has euthanized more cats and dogs than any organization in the world. And I read this article that they went somewhere where there was all these whippets they weren't being tortured or anything. They were being used for something, running or doing something. And maybe it was they race them or something, and they let out 45 whippets into the wild, and they couldn't find them, and whoever had them were like, they're going to be eaten by coyotes and wolves. They will not survive out there. And they're like, we'd rather them be eaten naturally than whatever. And so it's it's just the weirdest thing.
You know what's going to happen now?
Oh, what?
The trolls are going to tag PETA in the comments and on Twitter, and they're going to start on us, and we're going to get flooded with
If this happened, what do you want me to do?
Look, my mother...
The only PETA I support is next to a kebab.
My mother is butcher. I don't know what to say.
PETA bread is the only thing I'm interested in.
PETA bread.
Yeah. Other than that, I really don't care. They were just... I can't hear that good anyways because I'm old. I can't see. So for you to try to take my hearing away with your bullhorn and then yelling and screaming obscenities in my ear, and you got an 8-year-old, 12-year-old kids, I just thought it was bad form. We've talked about this. Who's going to receive that message? Nobody. They're doing no good. All they're doing is making those people hate them. They already hate them. Like, no one's changing their mind. There's a bunch of cowboys walking in going, well, fuck you. You know, like, they don't care. They ride bulls. That's what they do.
So we all want to know, did you actually end up riding a bull?
Well, no. Well, define riding. No, I had popcorn. I had nachos. I watched like 4 teams compete. It was really cool. Let me know the truth. I had a great time.
Let me tell you an Auntie Peta story before we end.
All right.
And
you don't want to talk about the whiteboards?
No, we'll talk about the whiteboards another time. But
right.
So I look, I believe in humanely raised animals. I eat meat. I've read a lot of Peter Singer. So like I tried being a vegan. I just couldn't do it. But so my mother's a butcher. So I grew up like learning how to make sausage. Yeah.
Learning how to eat sausage. Are you really going to lobby that towards me? Oh, make. Okay. Got it. Make.
So I know how to use like a lot of parts of animals and turn it into something edible, right?
Got it.
So my grandmother is a fucking savage. And I would go spend summers with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the first, after communism fell in Poland, I used to go visit her like all the time. And she was one of my best friends. But she was a fucking savage. So I remember one morning waking up and I'm like, oh, babcha, there's like a chicken in the backyard. She said, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, so cute, a chicken. She's like, cuts off the head, rips the feathers off, dunks it in the hot boiling water, and then you rip off the feathers. It makes it easier. I was like, oh, you know, and then like the next week, there's like a small pig running around. And I was like, oh no, you know, yeah. But like, I mean, that's survival. Like my family, I mean, like people fucking eat meat. I'm not against eating meat.
Well, Valerie, here's the thing that I have to say about that. I could not pick up that chicken and cut its head off, and I could not kill that pig.
I mean, it depends on how hungry you are.
No, listen, if I was starving... I would. Stop. If I was starving to death in the wild, yeah, it's going to happen. But I'm saying, just generally speaking, I'd rather just go to the kebab place. And, you know, speaking of that...
I'm the apocalypse friend. I will survive an apocalypse.
Listen, some chicken gave their life for us yesterday when you Postmated us those chicken kebabs.
They were good.
They were so good.
Really good. That rice was
I could not imagine
too.
Not eating, like, another chicken kebab.
I tried to be vegan for a while. So
and guess what we had with it?
I felt terrible.
Pita bread.
We had pita bread.
We had pita bread.
Great closer. Great closer. Well.
Okay. Well, there you go. You've heard a lot of subjects, and we seem to do really good today.
Long live the bulls.
Long live the bulls. Long live ride them and eat them. And this is, in case my partner Veronica forgets, the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. This is Veronica Valerie Brill. Envy out.